Okay, so welcome back everyone. In this video we are going to be starting our second lecture of Primavera P6. So in the previous video, which was our first video related to Primavera P6, we discussed about the databases, the installation, and a little bit about the history of Primavera P6. So in this one we're going to be opening the Primavera P6 and we're going to see that what are we having in the Primavera P6 and what are the tools that we have there, what are different windows and different options in the software. So let's open Primavera P6 and let's start to study it, right? So here we go. I hope you remember in the previous lecture that first of all we have to set up the database. So after we have set up the database, just like in the previous lecture, now we can open the same database with giving the same username or login name and password that we set up in the first step. So after doing that, you can refer to the previous video for that. Now we are going to open it. So here we go. And you might have this error here, or maybe this window here which shows that the appropriate industry for your organization has not been yet selected in the admin preferences, so please contact your administrator. So you can get rid of this even, but we'll discuss about that. Now before that, you can see on the screen right now that this is the first view of the Primavera P6 when you open it. Now normally in the softwares, whichever you use, whenever you open them, like something related to engineering softwares like AutoCAD or Revit or SAP or any these type of softwares, whenever you open them, so you are always having a blank screen, a blank white screen or black screen in front of you, and then you have to start everything from the scratch. But here you're not having a blank screen. There are a lot of things here, so that is a little bit confusing for if you are using it for the first time. So you have to be aware of what these different windows are and how you can get used to them and how you can use these different windows to do your work here, right? So let's just get introduced to these different windows and let's learn what we are having here. So on the screen you can see that first of all we have this upper row where we have these different options, just like usual softwares have these options: file, edit, view, project, enterprise, tool, admin, help. So these are some of the tools and these are useful. Here you can just open the file maybe, and you can see that there are different printing options and exporting, importing options for the data. You don't have anything save or save as, because I already told you in the previous lecture that you don't have to save anything in Primavera P6, right? It automatically is saved in your database. But you can import or export some data, and this is very important, but not now when we are at a position where we have learned almost all the Primavera P6. Then we can talk about the import and export option, but right now let's stick to the basics. Then we have edit. In the edit you have different cut, copy, paste, delete, and different other options. You can see that. View, you can just we are going to discuss about all of these options, but just trying to show you. Then we have project. You can see the project is grayed out. The reason why project is grayed out because we have to open a project before we actually are able to work on it. So first of all we have to make a project, then open the project, and then we can open this tab to see what we can do in the project window. So because it's not opened yet, so that's why it's grayed out. Enterprise is open, so it means that enterprise is somewhere on the screen right now in front of us. And where is that? It's here. This is the enterprise, you can see, right? Now inside the enterprise we are having the projects, like this is project, this is project. If I open one of the project, let's say open project, so now you can see that you can see the project window available for you, right? But let's get back there. Let's not get into the projects because we have to do everything from the start. So let me okay, sorry, we can close it from here. Then after in the enterprise we have different options. We have to see them one by one. We have tools, we have admin, we have help. Now in admin, if you see when you were opening the Primavera P6, you had a window or an sort of error there. You can correct that. Like, go to the admin preferences. In the admin preferences, you can go to the industry. In the industry, you can select that which type of industry are you belonging to or you're going to be using it for. So I can select engineering or government, aerospace, defense, high technology, utilities, oil, gas. So I'll just go with engineering and close it, right? So here we go, we have closed it. Okay, now let's talking about the second row. So this was the first row. Now the same things that were in the first row are also available in this second row. So you can see print, it was in the file, but they have made it easy for you by just presenting them in front of you in this second row. So you can quickly just select any of these. So these are the important ones which have been taken from the first row and placed in front of you, so you can just use them whenever you want to, right? So printing, and then different other options, like you can see this section is for Gantt chart, table view, and activity network view, relationships, and etc, etc. You have another tab here for like details and usage space and resource setup, bars and setting of bars, and filters and group and sort, scheduling, zooming and zooming out of this section, and etc, etc, right? So this is the second row. So these are tools presented to you. At the left side, you're also having some tools. At the right side, you're also having some tools. So at the left side, again, you are having these tools which were already mentioned in this general row, but now they're also present here. So you can add a project, like this is for adding something, like adding a project. We'll discuss this in detail, but just introducing them to you. And similarly, opening something, closing something, or going to the projects tab, going to the resources tab, going to the reports tab, tracking tab, and activities, etc, etc, right? So you can open them from here as well. You can see activities and you can see the projects, but they're also mentioned here. So it's your choice if you want to open or use any of the options from this menu or from this menu, it depends on you, right? At the right side, we're also having some tools. So these are also for adding something, deleting something, cutting or pasting something, copying something, and different other options available here, right? So you will get used to these when we go into the next lectures and we start using these tools. So you will get used to them. Okay, now windows. So here you can see the window is kind of divided into three sections. The first section is the left window, where you are having these different you can see it's written projects, and in the projects you have enterprise, and then different categories of these projects or enterprise. At the right side, you're having a blank window, but you can see it's something like a calendar. You have November, December, January, and then maybe the dates here, or maybe the weeks here, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 weeks, right? And at the bottom, you have some settings, but they are like general. They're again divided into different windows: general, notebook, budget, spending plan, budget summary, dates, funding, codes, etc, etc, right? So this is the third window that we're able to see here. So this is basically the division of all the different things in front of us on the screen right now, right? Different windows. Now let's talk about the first window, which is the enterprise window. So the enterprise is actually the name of an organization or a company. So let's say if you have an organization or a company, you might be working on different projects or maybe one project. If you have one project, you can just delete all of these categories like this. Let's say just like this. I have just tried to hide them, and you can delete all of these if you want to, and you will just be having one project below this main enterprise, and you can change the name of your enterprise. You can write anything for the enterprise, right? So this is basically a general enterprise or a general organization, then categories inside it, and then some projects inside it, which have been actually scheduled and planned and presented in front of you for your reference or for a sort of example. So you can just explore it, you can learn from it, or maybe you can use it if you want to, but you have to check if you can use it for anything before you do that. But this is just given to you as maybe a gift, so you can learn from that, right? So you can see it's a ready-made project which you can open like this. This is an enterprise, a category of engineering and construction category. Inside that category, you have different projects. You can open any of the project, and you can see the project is open. Now the window is changed. Now before you were in the projects window, now you're in the activities window, right? So activity window means that when you open a project, you are now inside a project, and now your window is changed to this. So although this window is known as activities, but this is actually a project that you are looking, and inside the projects you have the project, you have the activities. So these are different activities. Okay, now before we discuss about the project, let's get back here a little bit of more about this window. So I hope you understood that this is the enterprise, your organization. These are the different categories that you can create. Inside those categories, you can create as many projects as you want to, and then you can open any of the project and work on that specific project, right? So you can see that the summary of the projects that you're working on have been given, that how many activities are there, and different other columns you can add here. Now let's focus on just one project. Let's open one project, not too many projects. So I can open any of the project like this, and you can see now inside the project you can have different works or activities or tasks that you're going to be performing. So they can be divided into different categories, and these are those categories. You can see design and engineering, a category. Inside that you have different activities, and then second category is foundation, and inside that different activities, right? So category and activities. You can also have subcategories. You can see the yellow colors are subcategories, and you can even have more categories inside that, right? So we're going to discuss that how will we create this for our project, but just for a general discussion here, we have discussed that. So in the left side of the window, you are able to see your enterprise, your projects, the summary of the projects, the activities, and everything. You can just check them at this left hand window. At the right side, you will be watching the same thing, but here you will be able to see them in a graph or in a bar chart view sort of a thing, right? And they will be also be presented with the help of dates and calendar. So you can see the calendar, that how much time or days an activity in your project is taking to complete, and you can see them in different colors. These different colors represent different things. We'll discuss that. Different bars and different lines and different writings are added here, so we'll discuss them one by one. So this is a graphical view of your activities or your work. At the bottom you have different options or different settings that you can change or you can do for your activities. Like every activity in your project requires specific settings or conditions or dates or resources or budget or cost to be assigned, or different things can be done with different activities, right? Like for example, if there's a work of again construction or engineering. So in engineering, if you are trying to construct, let's say, the foundation of your house or building, so there will be different materials and different machinery and different labors required for that specific work. So you will have to change the settings for that specific task. Then if you're working on something else, like maybe in the end you're working on paint job, or maybe let's say any other thing activity, you will have to change the labor, you will have to change the calendar, the dates, you will have to also maybe change the resources and budget and everything. So here in the bottom is where you can change each and every of the setting for different activities. So this is just a summary of different types of the windows that we have in the Primavera P6. Also, you can see here we have a sort of a, in the bottom we also have a sort of a summary of what you're watching actually. So if you click on any of the activity, and or maybe if you open any of the window, so you can see that related to that, you can see that it's portfolio, all projects. So this is our portfolio. Portfolio means that your organization, inside the organization, which categories or are of projects you are having. So it's like all projects. Then access mode is shared. Data date is 1st May 2011. Now data date is something specific related to Primavera P6 and project management. We will discuss that in the next lectures. But this is a sort of a date which represents, if I tell you quickly if you're curious to know, it's a date which actually represents that when was the last time you updated your schedule in Primavera P6. Now, this is a little tricky. So if you understood that, that's fine, that's great. But if you didn't, we will discuss that in the next lectures, right? So you have to wait for the data date. Then we have baseline. It's also part of our lecture. We'll discuss that in the coming. User is admin and database is P6 professional 6 professional. This is the name of our database. So this is just a quick look of the windows and different options in front of us in Primavera P6. I hope you understood a little bit about that. In the next lecture, we will start to go more detail of into more detail of this thing. We will just maybe remove everything from the screen. We will create a blank page and we will start constructing a project from the really start, so it will not be confusing. So we'll get rid of all of these projects and everything so you don't get confused. So I will meet you in the next lecture. Till that, take care. Thank you very much.